رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء وخاتم المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا بالقاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين ذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا واللعنة دائمة الباقي لأعدائهم من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: وجعلنا منهم أئمة يهدون بأمرنا. صلوات पढ़ने एक बार और. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all for celebrating the events related to the Ahlul Bayt. Today happens to be the birth anniversary of the second Imam of the Shia Islam, Hazrat Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam. Now I would like to take this opportunity tonight to talk about one aspect from his life which interestingly is relevant to the theme that we had in Surah Al-Talaq. We have to realize that when we talk about imamat, imam is a position of somebody who has been appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yahduna bi amrina. They guide people according to the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the dimensions of imamat is that they are always concerned for the spiritual guidance of the people as well as for the welfare of the people. And this is where we see that, when it comes to the issue of being concerned for the welfare of the people, this is more as far as what is charity is concerned. And whether an imam is in position of power or not, in government or out of the government, they would still maintain the, this function of helping the people who are needy and poor. Even if you look at the peace treaty that Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam would actually, he signed, even in the conditions that he put there. It's interesting that he did not only talk about himself or just the Banu Hashim, that, their life and honor should be, secured, and Muawiyah and his administration will not do anything to harass them. He actually talks about the Shia of Ali. He says even the Ashab and the Shias of Ali, their life and honor and their property is sacrosanct and it should be respected by Muawiyah and his government. One of the things he does was that he actually put it as a condition that the revenue from one of the regions or districts known as Abjar, annually 1 million dirham, will be dedicated for the widows and the orphans of the Battle of Siffin. On both sides. This is the generosity, the spirit of charity in example of Imam Hassan, that even when he is signing this peace treaty with the enemy, his concern is for those who are less fortunate in the society. And this is where we come to realize that when we talk about this image of the imams, unfortunately when we study history we see that our imams in general have been mazloom in history. There has been an attempt to tarnish the image of the imams. About Amir al-Mu'minin we know. Muawiyah had a full-fledged department of propaganda where even the Sahaba were employed to invent, ahadith against Ali, to invent ahadith regarding those who were enemies of Ali. We know that for 70 years, in Friday khutbahs, his image would be tarnished. Where even when his companions told him once, that, I think we have done enough for this man, leave him alone now. And he said, no, I would like the generations and generations to come, in their mind to have this wrong image of Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. So this propaganda warfare is nothing new. We know these days, especially in the western part of the world, people come to power based on that. And when it comes to Imam Hassan, he indeed is a Muslim figure in the history of Islam, and I would say even among the Shias. One we hear quite a lot, they say, oh, Imam Hussein was shaji, courageous, he stood up against Yazid. Whereas Imam Hassan was not that much, courageous, and he decided to sit down and make peace with Muawiyah. And we talked about it, what were the reasons, and how even some of the Shias actually used to come to the Imam and kind of rebuke him for that. Another, issue of tarnishing the Imam of Imam Hassan was done by another anti-Shia group, and I'll come to the details later on, to the extent that even in the Shia books, this issue of, putting, the image of Imam in a negative light has come to an extent that once when I had gone for Ashara Muharram in New York, and we are talking about the Shia community, in one of the sessions of question answer, one of the young men stood up and he said, why is Imam Hassan known as the great divorcer by historians? This issue, the great divorcer. In Arabic, this is known as al-mitlaq, somebody who frequently divorces his wife. And you start thinking about it, that you see this in the Sunni history, and you also see some similar, statements in the Shia books. Tonight what I would like to do is just to deflect that, accusation from the Imam's image. I would like to share with you very briefly a scholarly article which was written by my late father in 70s and published in UK in As-Sirat magazine, which is there also now available online. And so when we look at this issue, who, first of all, applied this label of al-mitlaq. Al-mitlaq means somebody who frequently divorces. Who put this label on our Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam? When you look at history, you come to realize that the first person who actually used this title was Mansur. Mansur, the second Khalifa of Banu Abbas. The Abbasid came into power in 132 after Hijrah, where Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba passed away in the year 51 after Hijrah. So there is a gap. The Shahadat of the Imam is in 51st year. Mansur and his, they came to power in 132 onwards. And so the question comes up, why would Mansur Dawaniqi, the second Abbasid Khalifa, would go to tarnish the image of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam? And this is where you have to realize, and this is where history becomes very important for us to understand. I would like to bring the first slide there. Okay. Was it there on from beginning? No, okay, good. I would like you to see me, not this slide, okay. But at the moment you can look at it. If you see, you have on one side, not on the slide, three brothers, Abdullah, Abu Talib, and Abbas. From Abdullah we have Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. From Abu Talib we have Ali and his brothers. And from Abbas we had a person by the name of Abdullah bin Abbas. Abdullah bin Abbas, and he also had some brothers. So Abdullah and Ali and Rasulullah become first cousin. And Abdullah ibn Abbas was very close to Amir al-Mu'minin. He is one of the first Shias of Ali. And we don't doubt his sincerity and his loyalty to the cause of Amir al-Mu'minin. Now, when you see, look at Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali Fatima from Ali came in two lines. You have Imam Hassan and you have Imam Hussein. From Imam Hussein, you have Imam Zainul Abidin, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, and then Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam. From Imam Hassan, we're just running out of time, so I'll just go very quick through this. Imam Hassan, you have his son Hassan Musanna, who was married to the daughter of Imam Hussein. All the descendants of Imam Hassan, all the Hassani Sadat are from this Hassan Musanna. His son is Abdullah bin Hassan Musanna, whose son is Muhammad Nafs Zakiyah. On the other hand, you have Abdullah from the Abbasid line, and then Ali, and then Muhammad, and two sons, Safa and Mansur. When you look at, Safa, he is the first Khalifa, but he did not really lived long, just about 3 years, and then Mansur comes into power, his brother. The main architect of Abbasid Khilafat is Mansur. Now, there are three names, I have four names there in red. Imam Ja'far Sadiq, Muhammad Nafs Zakiyah, and Mansur. These are all at the same time. Timeline, they are at the same era. And after the events of Karbala, basically, there was this anti-Umayyad feeling among the Muslims. And Banu Abbas exploited that, because they were very angry with what happened in Karbala to Imam Hussain alayhi salam. There was sympathy towards Ali. And so Banu Abbas actually rose against Banu Umayyah on the pretext of avenging the blood of Imam Hussain alayhi salam in Karbala. Even their slogan actually was that as-sarat lil Hussein. We are standing up for taking revenge against what happened to Imam Hussein. In order to gain legitimacy, Mansur and his group could not do this alone. They wanted somebody from Ali to be with them. So they approached both lines, Hassani line and Husseini line. Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq said no. And he actually advised Muhammad Hanafiya and his father Abdullah also, who was there. He told both of them, don't get involved. He told all Ali to stay away from this fight between Banu Abbas and Banu Umayyah, because their motives are suspect. And they are not really sincere to us. And this is where, very similar to the situation where the US invasion of Iraq. Initially, when Americans came in, there was a whole issue that why is Ayatollah Sistani saying to the Iraqis, stay home. Don't get involved. Don't even oppose even Americans or Saddami. Let them fight against one another. Because he realized, they are not necessary for us. And he was looking at the example of 1991, where the Shias were initially encouraged by Bush administration to rise up. And when they realized, okay, after Saddam we'll have a Shia majority, they didn't like it. So halfway in that movement where they encouraged the Shias to do the uprising, all of a sudden they took the support away. And this is where the Shias were suppressed brutally from that time onwards. And this was the wisdom of Sayyid Sistani, that he said, no, we will just be quiet. When Americans came in, they removed Saddam. Then when they started talking about democracy, that's where Sayyid says, you are talking about democracy? We want democracy. Because he knew the numbers of the Shias in Iraq will be more than any other group. And that is where he even opposed the American plan of caucus, type constitutional assembly, where 1/3 Kurd, 1/3 Sunni, 1/3 Shia. He said, no, any assembly not selected by 1-to-1 vote is illegitimate. And so look at history and see what is happening now. We can see examples there. However, Muhammad Nafs Zakiyah, encouraged by his father Abdullah, refused to take the advice of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, sided with the Abbasid. The Abbasid group even did bay'at on the hand of Muhammad Hanafiya that if we become victorious, you will become the Khalifa. But what happened at the end? When power came to their hand, Muhammad Hanafiya got nothing. And this is where you see that, Muhammad Hanafiya felt very much betrayed, rose against Mansur and Safa, and he was killed. And this is what Imam Ja'far Sadiq had said from day one, that if you don't listen to what I'm saying, you will be killed. And you will not get what you want. But Mansur had a problem there. He said, how do we legitimize our Khilafat? He became enemy of all the descendants of Ali, especially Hassani Sadat. He went to Medina in 144 year of Hijrah, and actually got all the Hassani Sadat in Medina arrested. He brought them to Baghdad. You hear about the zulm on Ali in Baghdad during the time of Banu Abbasid. That is the incident. Many of them ran away. Many of them went all the way to Yemen or North Africa. You see, in North Africa they are Hassani Sadat. In Yemen also they are Hassani Sadat. These are the people whose ancestors ran away from Medina from Mansur's reign. In order to put down Ali Hassan, what Mansur now did, he said, there is no legitimate claim for Ali Hassan on the issue of Khilafat. And what he does was he basically, these are the quotation from Al-Mas'udi, a prominent early historian, where Mansur actually gave a khutbah one day. And these are exact words he has, where he says, by Allah, we left alone the descendants of Abu Talib and the matter of Khilafat. Means we and them are equal. But we let them, deal with the issue of Khilafat. We did not interfere at all. Ali bin Abi Talib became Khalifa. After him, Hassan bin Ali became Khalifa. By Allah, these are his words. By Allah, Hassan did not deserve it. He was offered money, which he accepted. Muawiyah sent him a message that he would make him his successor. So Hassan abdicated the Khilafat and left the government and power. Now he's doing all this to actually target Muhammad Hanafiya, that your ancestor Hassan al-Mushtaba abdicated. You don't have any claim there. And further he says, he left everything to Muawiyah and turned his attention to women, marrying one woman today, divorcing another tomorrow. He remained like this till he died in his bed. So this is Mal'oon Mansur, trying to put the image of Imam Hassan down in order to say that, Ali Hassan didn't have any share in Khilafat because they were partners with Banu Abbas there. And in order to do that, this is where he now goes back in history to tarnish the image of our second Imam, Hassan al-Mushtaba alayhi salatu wasalam. Salawat. This is where the Khalifa says one thing. Then all the paid, muhaddiseen and historians come forward. And now they build the case. They started giving numbers. There are 4 figures given of the women married and divorced by Imam Hassan. You know what was the minimum number? Was 70. The second is 90. The third figure given by these historians of Darbar is 250. And the highest number is 300 women whom he married and divorced. And this is where, we see that they played the game in such a way that even in a book like Usul-e-Kafi, in the section of Talaq, there are 2 narrations attributed to our sixth Imam. Where one, it says that during the Khilafat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, one day he goes on the minbar in a public gathering and he says to the people, La tuzawwiju al-Hasan. Don't give your daughters to my son Hassan. فَإِنَّهُ رَجُلٌ مِطْلَاق, because he frequently divorces his wives. Now, to make that hadith, acceptable to the Shias, so it is sugar-coated. And what is the sugar-coating there? One of the leaders of the Hamdan tribe stood up when Ali said, don't give your daughters to my son Hassan. He said, Bala wallahi, lanuzawwijuhu. By Allah, we will give our daughters to your son. Because huwa ibn Rasulillah wa ibn Amir al-Mu'mineen. He is son of the Rasul and son of Amir al-Mu'mineen. فَإِنْ شَاءَ أَمْسَكَ وَإِنْ شَاءَ طَلَّقَ. It is his choice. If he likes, he will keep her. If he doesn't like, he will divorce. We are happy with that. And this is where we have to realize that, when you talk about a hadith, you really have to understand it's not only the sanad, you also have to look at the content of the hadith to see whether it's going according to our belief system or not. Salawat pranay ek baar. So how do we deal with this issue? When you have the 70, 90, 250 and 300 wives. In one narration, they made up a whole story that when his janazah came out in Medina, there was a julus of the ex-wives of Imam Hassan. Grieving there in the janazah. Which is all rubbish, no truth to it. And this is where I would like to see, how much you remember the discussions we had in Surah Al-Talaq. Let us look at this one statement in so-called history where they say Hassan often married 4 wives in one sitting, and then he was divorced 4 wives in another sitting. Just look at that statement. The fact of the history is that, all those who say that, Imam Hassan used to do this, Nawzubillah, he was in pursuit of pleasure. They say this all started during the Khilafat of Amir al-Mu'mineen when he was in Kufa. So you look at that year, 37th after Hijrah. From that year till the Shahadat of the Imam when he was poisoned, Imam had 3 wives. Khawla Fazariya, the mother of Hassan Musanna, and Ishaq bint Talha, and Ju'da bint Ash'as. All 3 the wives survived Imam Hassan. So they were with him during the entire lifetime. So according to Islamic laws, how much vacancy is there? A person can only marry 4. Let us take that word. He used to marry one day, divorce one day. Technically, if the husband divorces the wife, what is the iddah time? 3 months. But even the talaq has to be done at a time when there is tuhur, which means that 1 month and then 3 months of iddah. So 4 months. During the iddah time, the wife is still a wife. The husband still has to provide, and if any one of them die, they will inherit one another. Which means, according to Islamic laws, is till the end of the iddah, the husband cannot marry another. If he already has 3 and he divorced the 4th one, so he still has to go through 4 months. And if you look at it, this whole issue of saying that, marrying in one sitting and divorcing in one sitting doesn't, make sense at all. Now, the figures that we get from the historians who are paid by the establishment, 70, 90, 250, and 300. Now, he had 3 wives already. Let's say he filled the 4th vacancy, and then he gave talaq. It can't just be done after nikah. He still has to wait for the tuhur period. and then 3 months, so 4 months. So in 1 year, he only has opportunity to, get 3 wives. And if you look at from 37 age to 51, 14 years, what will be the total number that Imam didn't even let 1 day go out and miss even 1 day? Maximum number would be 42. And what is the minimum number in the history? 70. And going up to 300. This is where you come to realize that, all these fabricators didn't know fiqh, didn't know reality, didn't know the life of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam. Salawat. Ali is Imam al-Muttaqeen. He knows the principles of taqwa. If he had a problem with his son, he would sit down and advise him. Not go on the mimbar and tell the people, don't give your daughters to my son. You're also now actually making the action of Amir al-Mu'minin questionable. That because we don't see anything that he first sat down with his son and advised him, don't do this. And this is where we come to realize that, this is all propaganda started by Banu Abbas in order to, basically say that Ali Hassan had no legitimacy for Khilafat. To do that, they actually tarnished the image of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam. Imam was a person for whom wealth and money and the luxuries of this dunya was nothing. It's not only that he used the Baytul Mal to help others. He was even there to encourage those who help others. Even if he found somebody who was helping an animal, this is where we see that Imam would even go and appreciate that person. One day he was passing by a garden where the person who was working for the garden was a slave. And at that time he happened to be sitting there having his meal. And there was a dog close by. So he would eat one luqma, one morsel himself, and the other one he will throw to the dog. Imam liked his sense of charity even towards a dog. So he goes to him and he says, why are you doing this? He says, I feel ashamed that he is sitting, looking at me and I'm eating alone. Therefore I eat one morsel and give one to the dog. The Imam liked this so much. He asked, who is the owner of this garden? He goes to the owner, makes a deal to buy the garden, including to buy that slave. Then he comes to him and he says, I have bought you and now I'm making you free in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you from now on is the owner of this garden. This is the sense of generosity that an Imam who appreciated somebody who was helping an animal. Now you are saying, Nauzubillah, he was a womanizer? Going into this pleasure of this dunya in that way? And this is where we have to realize that, history has been very unjust to our Imams. Let us learn their seerah in the right way. Just one hadith from the Imam to learn, how to deal with the mal of this dunya. Salawat upon the Akbar. In one of the advice that the Imam gave to Junada bin Jundab, one of his close companions, he came to visit the Imam and he asked for advice. And it's a longer statement where Imam says just one, sentence is enough for us to take with us, where he says, وَعْلَمْ إِنَّ الدُّنْيَا. He says, as far as this dunya is concerned, and the luxuries of the dunya and the mal of the dunya, في حلالها حساب. If you deal with the halal of it, If you take the halal from the dunya, still you have to give account for it. So if it is halal, you still have to do hisab and kitab. وَفِي حِرَامِهَا إِقَابٌ. If it is haram, there is punishment. وَفِي الشُّبَهَاتِ عِتَابٌ. And if you get indulge in shubahat, gray area, you're not sure this is halal or haram, still you get into it, there you will be censured by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will be blameworthy in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So deal with the dunya like a mayta. Mayta means, dead body of an animal. It is haram. It says in Quran, we are told it's haram for us, except in emergency case. It says if you deal with the luxuries and good things of the dunya as a mayta, you will always use what is halal and what is permissible. And you will stay away even from those things which are shubahat and a gray area. And this is where we have to realize that this is the Imam, this is his statement, and that is his seerah. Salawat padhne ek baar. امام کو اگر دنیا کی دولت سے محبت ہوتی اور معاویہ سے جو ہے صلح کی ہے پیسے کے خاطر، دولت کے خاطر، تو امام نے کیوں اپنی زندگی میں 3 مواقع ایسے آئے ہیں کہ امام نے اپنے ٹوٹل دنیاوی ایسٹس کو جمع کیا، ایوری تھنگ including his animal and even the slaves. اور 2 حصوں میں ڈیوائڈ کرتے ہیں ایوری تھنگ، اور ایک حصے کو اللہ کی راہ میں خیرات میں دے دیتے ہیں. And he keeps the other half for himself. And not once, 3 times in his life. کچھ دن پہلے ہم لوگوں نے سنا تھا کہ بل گیٹس نے جو ہے اپنے بلینرز جو دوست ہیں ان لوگوں کو چیلنج کیا تھا کہ گیو ہاف آف یور ویلتھ ان چیریٹی. اس زمانے میں بڑی بات تھی، اپنے جوان بھی کہتے تھے ہاں یہ تو ویری گڈ رول ماڈل ہے. ہم کہتے ہیں بھائی ادھر مت جاؤ، تاریخ میں دیکھو. امام حسن جو ہیں اپنی زندگی میں 3 بار یہ کر چکے ہیں، اپنے دنیا کی پوری دولت کو جو ہے 2 حصوں میں تقسیم کرتے ہیں، آدھے جو ہے خیرات میں دے دیتے ہیں اور آدھے کو اپنے لیے باقی رکھتے ہیں. صلوات پڑھنے ایک بار اور. بس آخر میں ایک اور تبصرہ کرنا چاہیں گے جو ڈائریکٹلی امام سے ریلیٹڈ نہیں ہے، لیکن یہ جو 2 حدیثیں ہم نے دیکھی ہے اصول کافی میں مطلاق کے عنوان سے امام کے بارے میں جو کہی گئی ہے. آج کل جو یہ وبا پھیلی ہے، سب ہر انسان جس کو مجتہدین کی تقلید نہیں کرنی ہوتی ہے وہ کہہ دیتا ہے ہم اخباری ہیں. ان سے پوچھو بھائی اخباری کا مطلب کیا ہے؟ تم یہ لفظ کے معنی و مفہوم کو بھی سمجھتے ہو؟ تو ادھر ادھر سن لیتے ہیں ہاں ہم صرف اہل بیت کی روایت کی اتباع کرتے ہیں. ان سے ہم کہتے ہیں کہ جائیں اصول کافی میں یہ روایت ملے گی آپ کو دونوں، آپ اس دونوں کو مانیں گے؟ نہیں مانیں گے، لیکن وہ روایت ہے. سند کو ہم نے چیک نہیں کیا ہے، لیکن بعید نہیں ہے کہ سند بھی صحیح ہو، ورنہ شیعہ کتاب میں نہ پہنچتی وہ. اسی سے اندازہ ہوتا ہے کہ بھائی صرف حدیث کو آپ بائی اپیئرنس ظاہری طور پہ نہیں لے سکتے ہیں. آپ کے پاس وہ علم ہونا چاہیے جسے علم حدیث کہا جاتا ہے، جو اجتہاد کا ایک پروسیس ہے کہ حدیث کو پرکھیں، دیکھیں صحیح ہے یا نہیں ہے، سند کے اعتبار سے صحیح ہے نہیں، متن کے اعتبار سے دیکھنا پڑتا ہے. کبھی کبھی سند صحیح ہوتی ہے، متن غلط ہے. کہیں کہیں سند ضعیف ہے لیکن متن جو ہے مفہوم اور میسج جو حدیث کا ہے وہ دوسری حدیثوں کے مطابق ہے. مختلف اصول ہوتے ہیں اور یہ اسی کا نام در حقیقت اجتہاد ہے. یہ جو اخباریت کی بات کرتے ہیں یہ نہ اجتہاد کو سمجھتے ہیں نہ اخبار کو سمجھتے ہیں. انہیں نہیں معلوم ہے کہ مجتہدین کا زیادہ تر وقت جو ہے اخبار کے تحلیل اور انالائز کرنے میں گزرتا ہے. اس معنی میں اگر صحیح معنی میں اخباری ڈھونڈنا ہو تو وہ مجتہدین ہیں جو حدیث اور اخبار سے ڈیل کرتے ہیں. خداوند اس خلیل بار قبول فرمائے، ہمارے گناہوں کو بخش دے، ہمارے توفیقات میں اضافہ فرمائے، ہم لوگوں کو ہمیشہ ان لوگوں میں سے قرار دے جو صحیح معنی میں محمد کے راستے پر دائم اور قائم رکھیں. ربنا آتنا فی الدنیا حسنۃ وفی الآخرۃ حسنۃ وقنا عذاب النار برحمتک یا ارحم الراحمین.